Hi there. There's a lot to do about GDPR these days, and as May 25th comes closer, there's even more to do about it. Very often, the content that is delivered is oriented towards the bigger companies, and I hear from the smaller ones that they're totally lost. So here is what I share during my GDPR workshops with self-employed people and small and medium-sized business owners. It's a summary version. For the long version, just keep in touch with me. So what it all starts with is the metaphor of the bus. Your company is like a bus. And what you're first going to do is you're going to rethink and define where you want to take your people to. It's important. If with my bus I just want to bring people to Madrid without anything else, I will just need their consent to use their data to get them to Madrid. If I want to offer a full experience and do intermediate stops and have them visit musea and good restaurants, then my mission is a little bit bigger and I will be able to process their data in order to comply with my mission and their interests. So the better my mission is defined, the better I can then determine what legal grounds I will use to process data. Now, apart from my mission, I would also like to know who it is that I'm working with. I start with my own staff members. How do I get them on board of my bus? What do I do with people who would like to get on board but who don't? What do I do with customers? And what do I do with companies who want to get on board? We all know that companies do not fall under the GDPR, but the people working in companies, they do. So these three categories of people, I want to have kind of an inventory. Next, I'm going to list all the initiatives I do and I take to make people aware of what it is that I would like to do with them, and both inbound and outbound. So there's going to be my website. There may be online forums. There are trade fairs that I will participate in to get people on board of my bus. And for each of these initiatives, GDPR has an impact, and for some, GDPR does not have an impact. So we just give some recommendations about what you do with your website, how you deal with business cards that you receive, and so on and so forth. And then you start your journey. Now, as I said, the more your mission is big, the more the probability is there that you will transfer data to external parties. You may have the restaurant who wants to know what your people want to eat. You may want to share data with the musea that people will visit, etc. So there's a number of subcontractors with whom you are going to share information. You can do that because, first of all, you have the consent. Second, because you need to do it in order to fulfill your agreement. Third, because the law requires it. I will have to report legally to my insurance how many people are on board and what their names are, for instance. I can also process data because of the individual or group health. If one of my passengers faints, I will not first wake him up and ask him if I can check his wallet to see who I have to warn. I can also process data because it's in the common generic interest for security purposes or other. And the sixth one is the most interesting one. I can also use data and process data if, after a well-pondered and motivated consideration, we serve both the interest of the subject and the interest of the controller. And at all times, of course, I will check I'm in the bus, I'm driving the bus, I'm the controller, all of the other people and subcontractors will be the processors. So it's good to make a list of where the data transfers to and why it happens. Now, throughout that process of driving, your data will be traveling. The names will be maybe on your local server, and next, before you know, they will be on your mobile phone and then in an email. So the next part of the workshop is that we kind of list whatever we see and feel and observe in terms of data carriers, both the physical ones like the cupboards with maps in it, like the network attached storage, the servers, the USB keys, the phones, the shadow IT, the cloud, the external, internal data centers. So we just make a full list of that. And once we have it, we are going to wonder and ask ourselves, who is actually using these things? I'm here in front of my PC. I know that I'm the only one using my computer. So I will shut down the computer when finished, or I will lock the screen. My mobile phone, exactly the same thing. I'm the one using it. Some of the personal data might be used by me, but also by my transport agency, by the museum that we are going to visit, etc. So I need to have an inventory of who is accessing what, and if they really need to access it in order to fulfill. Next thing, how do they do it? If they use a personal computer, is that personal computer kind of like secured against theft or data leaks? Have I informed my people and educated them, like staff members, to how they treat data? Is the mobile device they are using correctly managed and leak proof? And then, of course, the third thing we are going to ask ourselves is, what is it exactly that they deal with, and are they allowed to do this? And is there a legal ground or in one of the 6 necessities to actually do it? And can I protect that data more than just encrypt it? Okay. Now, once we've done this exercise, we do it because if you look at the next thing, that is the kind of risk assessment, which again, small companies don't have to do, but it's interesting to kind of take a little hold on that subject. You want to reduce the probability of having leaks to a minimum so that the impact, if something leaks, also becomes very unlikely or non-significant. You want to remain in the green area. So without doing an official risk assessment, we will just like weigh a little bit our options. Why would we do all this work? Well, because within GDPR, our dear and beloved customers and natural persons, they all of a sudden have got legal grounds to kind of want to get out of the bus. They may have subscribed for a museum visit, but they say, hey, finally, I don't want to go to a museum, so get all of my data out of there. Maybe they have changed names or I misspelled names and they want to have a modification, which I have to do within 30 days. Maybe they're just going to ask me, hey, what data do you have and why do you have it and where is it stored and how is it stored? And they may even want a copy of it in an electronic format to give to another bus driver. So these are a number of rights that they will execute, which is another good reason to document all of this in what we call a processing registry. Again, it's not an obligation for small companies, but there is a few interesting lists that allow you in a straightforward way to document anytime you come across a name or some personal identification stuff, to kind of say like, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is with whom I'm sharing it, this is where it's stored, this is the technology I use, and these are the steps that I will take to kind of prevent leaks from happening. Because if leaks happen, you should report them within 72 hours. If an ex-employee leaves with a customer list with 2,000 names and addresses, or if someone, for one or the other reason, hacks your system. Now, suppose that you don't even know it and something goes wrong and someone files a complaint, then there is a whole procedure that we highlight in order to not put you at ease, but to make you aware that you have some space, some stretch on this whole thing to be compliant in the end. So 5 simple steps. Okay, they will take you maybe a day or 5 of work. We're also there to help you out, but this is basically what you do as a small company or small medium-sized company to be a lot more compliant than those who don't. Take care and feel free to get in touch. Bye.